Hi everybody, I wanted to talk this morning about scoliosis and the two different types. So when it comes to scoliosis, we have what's called structural scoliosis and we also have postural scoliosis. And it's very important to understand which type of these two curves of the spine you have. The reason behind that is the way that we tackle these two curves can be quite different. So if you have what's called structural scoliosis, you would usually know this because you may have been diagnosed as a child, and essentially structural scoliosis is something that you're born with. It's the way that the bones of the spine form, and because, I guess, nature of its name, it's structural, there is often a preconception that there's very little we can do other than surgical interventions to be able to fix this type of curve. So I'm going to come back to that in a second because that's not always true, but there's elements of that are true. So structural scoliosis, you're typically born with it, or it develops as you start growing, and it's by nature of its name structural. It's about the way the bones of your spine form. The other type of scoliosis is postural scoliosis. Now, this type of scoliosis, I guess as its name alludes to, is usually caused by the way you've held your posture. This doesn't necessarily mean that you have bad posture and you're sitting in a slumped position all the time, but it sometimes occurs in people who do single-sided sports or single-sided activities. So we will often see this, say, in someone who's skateboarding on one side a lot, or in baseball pitchers who pitch the same way all the time, especially as they grow throughout their formative years. But the great thing about a postural scoliosis is there's much more that can be done for that. So things that you can, have corrected in a postural scoliosis include the whole scoliosis, as well as just the way the muscles around that scoliosis have formed and developed. Now, this is not to say that if you have that first type of scoliosis, the structural scoliosis, that nothing can be done. And this is a big misnomer that I'd like to be able to help to debunk, because so often we see in clinic people that come in and they say, oh, and I have this structural scoliosis, but I know nothing can be done for that. And that's not true at all. Often they've been told that as a child or even into their early adult, and it can be very disheartening to hear that you have something that nothing can be done for. So while it is true that the bones of the spine have been structurally formed and you will have a curve, the nature and the extent of that curve can often be greatly reduced, because what more than often happens in people with structural scoliosis is because they have this belief that nothing can be done, then they do nothing about their posture, which actually compounds the structural curve, and they actually end up with structural scoliosis, but a huge part of postural scoliosis on top of it. And that postural scoliosis we can do a lot to remove. It's also helpful if you have structural scoliosis to know some of the things that will be beneficial for you long term. And there are particular stretches, movements, breath patterns that you probably want to learn about your own spine because you will use them throughout your whole life. And I'll do a different video on that. So I hope that was helpful. If you've got any comments or questions, make sure you pop them below. And as always, if you've got information or you'd like something tailored specifically to you, you can give the girls a call. We've got 3 studios in Sydney, Caringbah, Hurlston Park and Alexandria, and a team of highly qualified physiotherapists and Pilates instructors who would be more than happy to be able to tailor something specific to your needs. So I hope that was helpful. I'll see you again soon. Bye guys.